Hello. Please raise your hand how many of you have thought how difficult or complex managing different keys can get. Okay. And also how difficult accessing to these keys can get as well, right? Especially not talking about EOAs, but multi-signature accounts that have multiple wallets. So today, we will be talking about Passkeys that offers a new UX improvement to handling all these keys. So the talk is integrating Passkeys with the SafeSmart account. My name is Germán. You can find me on Twitter at Germago. And please, important thing, this is just a developer review. Some things are not audited. So if you are playing around with this, do it in demo apps or testing apps, but not in production yet until the audits are finalized. That will be soon. We will cover a few topics, a brief introduction to Passkeys and Safe and the benefits, how to integrate them with the SafeCore SDK, what contracts from Safe are involved in this process, and a bit of the flow. And finally, a demo to showcase how the user experience looks like. So let's start with Passkeys. Passkeys are a standard authentication method that leverages biometric data like the Touch ID or the Face ID to provide a user experience that is much better. Also, unlike traditional passwords, with Passkeys you don't need to remember complex strings of characters, and you can just rely on your physical data. So some of the benefits or key features that Passkeys and Safe provide are simplified authentication. Using biometrics, data, and hardware keys, Passkeys simplifies the authentication flow. Also, cross-platform compatibility, as Safe Passkeys is designed in a way that is compatible with multiple devices as long as they support the WebAuthn API. Enhanced security, as the private keys associated with Passkeys will not leave the device, the physical enclave in the device, so it's more secure. Also, additional multi-factor authentication with multi-signature. We see that blind signing is getting more common as the UX is improving. So offering a multi-factor authentication is great for the users. Now, audited contracts. This is in gray because most of them are audited, but there's one that still is in the process. And available on multiple networks. You will see in the coming weeks, months, how the contracts that are involved in this solution are deployed there. For now, the demo will be on Sepolia. So let's start with the SDK. And what are the different steps that you will need to follow in order to integrate Passkeys in your Safe account? First of all, some imports you need to do. Creating a passkey using the WebAuthn API from the browser. Initialize the SDK, create a transaction, sign in the transaction with the passkey, and submitting the transaction. So let's see all of them. With the imports, first you need to install two packages, the relay kit and the protocol kit. Please pay attention to the versions because they are alpha version, as not everything is audited again. So please use this just in controlled environments, not in production. And then do some imports from the relay kit, importing the Safe 467 pack, and then getting a utility from the protocol kit. Now, to create the passkey, we will use the WebAuthn API that the browser is providing. So there's an object, navigator.credentials, that has a method create that receives an object that is called public key and has some properties inside, like the public key credential parameter with the algorithm for signing. This has to be the same that is implemented in one of the contracts that I'll show you later. A relay in party information, user information, and some other data. You can get more information on our docs if you want to define this. Sorry. At the very end, you need to get the passkey object, which is what we are looking for. It's an object that has an ID for the passkey and some coordinates. And you can get that with the extract passkey data method that is receiving the passkey credential. So once we have the passkey object, we can initialize the SDK. We are going to do this Passkeys integration using the 4337 flow as well, because we don't want just to abstract the keys, but also the gas. Otherwise, it wouldn't make much sense, right? So the Safe 4337 pack provides a method init to initialize it, where we can pass a provider, the network we are using, also a signer. In this case, is the passkey object we created before. It could be a private key or whatever, but in this case, we want to use the passkey. And then some information from the bundler and the paymaster. We are using Pimlico infrastructure here. So the API URLs, and also a sponsorship policy ID in case you want to get your transactions sponsored. At the end of this talk, you'll see, well, I will provide you one. So during this weekend, you can get all the safe transactions using this flow sponsored by Pimlico. And sponsored by us using Pimlico Infra. And then you can define some options to configure your safe if you want more owners apart from the one you are defining, like the passkey or the threshold. Here is one, but it could be different. Once we have our SDK instance initialized, we need to create a transaction, the one we want to execute. For that, we need to define the two-value data of a transaction. We can even do a batch. So here we are creating an array of transactions that we pass to the create transaction method inside the Safe 4337 pack. This will return a safe operation that the signers of the safe need to sign. In this case, because we initialize the SDK with the passkey will be signing this. How? With the sign safe operation method. Here, after calling this method in the UI, is where the user will see the pop-up, and they will need to provide their credentials or the biometric data. Once we have it signed, we can submit it with the ERC4337 flow by calling the execute transaction method. There's an executable property where we pass the sign safe operation. And that's it. If in the future, for your safe, you want to add more passkeys, it would be something similar. There is a method, in this case, in the protocol kit instance that you would need to initialize as well. And the function create add owner transaction will return a transaction with the right data to add a new passkey. So after that, you would need to create the safe operation, sign it with the passkey, and execute it. So one safe can have multiple passkeys if you want. Now let's see what are the contracts involved in this solution. It all starts, of course, with an account that is safe, and safe can be extended, the functionality, with modules and fallback handlers. Have you heard of them? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Modules basically allow to execute safe transactions with a different way of validating the signatures, so they can have root access. And the fallback handler is a contract that can implement some methods that are not implemented in the core account, but when these methods are called in the account will fall back. So it's a way to add more functionality. For these two, we will use, or we are using, the Safe 4337 module, which is a contract that is adding all the all the compatibility with the ERC4337, and we need to enable it as a module and as a fallback handler. Everything is just done by the SDK. Here I want to showcase a bit what is happening behind. So we don't have two instances, but one instance that is used with these two different roles. Now, the account is multi-signature, can have multiple signers, but if you are using a passkey, you need to set up that passkey as a signer. When I say that passkey, I'm referring to a contract that will validate the passkey signature. Here we are using the Safe WebAuthn shared signer. This contract is a singleton in every network or in any network at some point. That will be able to, that should be enabled or should be added as a signer on each account if you want to use a passkeys. If you want to use more passkeys, then there are other contracts like the Safe WebAuthn signer proxy that can be added, and that would be used for a second signer, and we can add more and more. This proxy is a singleton and also has a factory you can call to deploy it. And the main difference is that if we are deploying an account with the 4337, we just can deploy one contract, which is the safe, and not a proxy at the same time. So the shared signer should be used for the first time as it's already deployed there. And then if you want to use more passkeys, the SDK is doing this, it would deploy these other contracts. And now with the ERC4337, how the flow would look like is something like this. Are you familiar with the ERC4337 flow, validation and execution phases? Well, it starts with the bundler, or after you create it and sign the transaction, you send it to the bundler to the entry point, and then the entry point is calling your safe to validate the signatures. It is providing the transaction and the signatures. The safe is forwarding this to the module that will process it. And to check the signatures, it will detect that it was signed by a contract, the one from the passkey. So it's not able to check the signature, the account itself, so it will need to check with the shared signer. That will also check with the WebAuthn, that is a contract that Safe created to do the validation of the signature, and at the end, it will return to the entry point if the validation was successful or not. After that, the second part, which is the execution phase, the entry point will call the execute user op in the safe. The safe will let the module to create a transaction and to send it to the target. This was very fast, but now we will see a demo, hopefully. If I can share my screen or stop it. Yes? Okay, so here is how an integration of Safe and Passkeys in a dApp would look like. We have, this is like the login page where you can create a new passkey or use an existing one if you are an existing user. So if we want to create a new one, we can click. We can decide where we want to create the passkey. We will select now the local host. The passkey is called safe owner. Will only be saved in this device. I can use the touch ID. And now it is interacting with the WebAuthn API from the browser. And you will see that it calculates the safe account that is not deployed yet until the first transaction is executed. And then we will be able to mint an NFT gaslessly. So this is the safe that will be ours. Now we can mint an NFT. This safe is configured as a one owner and threshold 1. So it will ask for our signature, and we will use the passkey. Okay, with the Touch ID. I'm signing the transaction, and now it's executed. So this transaction, what it did, we can see it here in the Safe app. We can go to the settings. We see that it has an owner. This owner is the contract that we saw before that is associated with the passkeys. If we go to the modules, we see that it uses the 4337 modules. And if we go to the transaction, we see a batch transaction executed with the creation of the safe and the minting of the NFT. If you want to get more information, you can copy the transaction hash, paste it in Tenderly. It may take a bit of time, and there you can see, yeah, it takes a little time to get it from there, and there you can see all the trace of the transaction, but we don't have time for that, so let's go back to the slides. And after the demo, we have some resources on GitHub with the SafeCore SDK if you are interested in seeing how all this integration is implemented. Safe modules if you are interested in seeing the implementation of the contracts that we showed, and the Safe modules deployments to see where these contracts are deployed. Also, I recommend checking the docs.safe.global, where we have some guides, tutorials, and some context on all of these regarding passkeys. And finally, what we are, or where you are expecting, the bounties we have 3 tracks. The first one is 4K, 2 prizes, in total 4K, for the best app integrating passkeys, creating a dApp similar to the one that I showed that showcases this, this way of signing. The second track is related with the ERC 7579. You can read more in the website. 4K as well, 2 prizes. And the last one is like a wildcard for the best app related with Safe, 2K. And if you want to get your transactions sponsored this weekend, you can get this code and copy-paste it in the initialization of the Safe 4337 pack. Feel free to come to our booth anytime to, well, to check any questions, and thank you for attending.